Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Newfoundland Labrador English School District Board meeting. And I'd like to start off by thanking Dana and Debbie, our ASL interpreters, for being here today, and thank everybody in the room. I'd like to welcome everybody who's joining online to our meeting today. And just to say, a thanks to everyone involved in getting prepared for this meeting, as well as we've been here since noon today. We've had incredibly powerful and fruitful discussion. So a lot of work goes into this, and I'm very, very appreciative of that. So we'll start off today with an adoption of the agenda. And at this time, I'll ask around the room if there are any changes to the agenda.
Chair, there are two proposed changes to the agenda for today. Two of them relate to motions. The first one is a motion pertaining to a title change to that of the CEO, Director of Education, to the Superintendent of Schools. And the second motion to be brought is the establishment of an executive committee of the NLESD Board.
Thank you, Vice Chair Dennis Mahoney. Appreciate that. So, okay, at this time, if that's the case, then I'll ask if we can get a motion to accept the amended agenda. Thank you. Can I get a seconder? Thank you, Trustee Heffernan. Okay, at this time, is there any discussion on the amended agenda? Okay, so then we'll just put it to a vote. All in favor of our amended agenda? All against? Abstentions? Thus carried. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Okay, moving on to a consideration of the minutes, item number 3 on our agenda for today. Everybody has had time to review as contained in the board document sent out last week. So at this time, just to move it forward, or request a motion to accept the minutes. Thank you very much, Trustee Lane. Can I get a seconder? Thank you, Trustee Grandy. Any discussion on the board minutes? Okay, then we'll put it to a vote. Those in favor? Those opposed? Abstentions? Thus carried. Okay, this is a good place then in the meeting for us to look at the motions that were brought forward by Vice Chair Mahoney. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to him.
Thanks, Chair. Good afternoon, everybody. The first motion, as I mentioned, pertains to a title change to the title of the CEO, Director of Education, to a new title of Superintendent of Schools. By way of background, in the fall sitting of the House of Assembly, as you may recall, there were a number of amendments made to the Schools Act Schools Act 1997. They were introduced, passed, and they went through royal assent, so they're now in effect. Those amendments were intended to both modernize some of the language in our legislation, but also support some of the discussions around the potential integration of the district into core government operations. One of those significant amendments to the Act did introduce changes to the executive of the district, which includes a title change for the senior executive in the district. Specifically, the new language in the Act, it replaces the previous language referring to the title of CEO, Director of Education, with a new title referred to as the Superintendent of Schools. The amendments do not change any of the responsibilities of the CEO, Director, as set out in the Act, and it is a change in title only. The Superintendent of Schools is expected to be responsible and perform all the duties of the existing director's role. As a result of this statutory amendment, the Board is now moving to align with the new provisions in the Schools Act 1997 legislation as it was amended, and to refer to the executive responsible for the operations of the district through the new title of Superintendent of Schools. Mr. Anthony Stack, previously as Director and CEO, has announced his retirement, which is effective January 31st, 2023. With this background to the motion, I just read out what the terms of the motion are. That the NLESD Board of Trustees approve this title change for Mr. Anthony Stack from CEO, Director of Education to Superintendent of Schools to carry out all duties of the Superintendent in accordance with the amended Schools Act 1997 until his retirement effective January 31st, 2023, and that this change be effective retroactive to November 9th, 2022. Chair, that's the motion being brought forward and the background for it.
Thank you very much to Vice Chair Mahoney. At this time, then, I'll request a motion to accept the change. Thank you to Trustee Heffernan. Can I get a seconder? Thank you, Trustee Grandy. Any discussion on the changed title for Mr. Stack's position until his retirement? No, we're good. Okay. If that's the case, then we'll put it to a vote. Those in favor? Those against? Abstentions? Thus carried. Thank you very much. Appreciate that very much. Business arising.
Sorry, Chair, there's a second
My apologies. Got ahead of myself there.
Thanks. The second motion is the establishment of an executive committee of the board. And again, just to provide some background to the trustees and those in attendance as to the reason for this motion, Section 74 of our Schools Act, the Newfoundland and Labrador English School District Board of Trustees, our board, do have established bylaws that govern our operations. Section 7.02 of our bylaws, as well as Section 56 of the Schools Act, documents the requirement for this board to establish an executive committee. Our bylaws as a board list a number of duties and responsibilities that do govern the activities of this executive committee. I'd also point out that Section 56 of the Schools Act 1997 provides as follows. In that section, the first subsection reads, "A board shall establish an executive committee composed of the chairperson of the board and other trustees elected to that committee by the trustees." Subsection 2 states, "The executive committee of a board shall act in the place of and manage the affairs of the board between regular meetings of the board and may, except where directed otherwise by the board, and in accordance with the bylaws of that board, exercise the duties and powers of the board." The third subsection reads, "A quorum of the executive committee shall be a majority of the members of that committee." And lastly, the last subsection reads, "All actions of the executive committee carried out under subsection 2 shall be reported to the board at the next regular meeting of the board." Our board recognizes the importance of timely decisions that do require attention in between formal public board meetings. Therefore, our board is formally establishing this executive committee of our board of trustees. In addition, given that the board has only 6 trustees appointed, this board feels it is prudent to establish that the composition of our executive committee be a committee of the whole. Thus, all 6 trustees will serve on the executive committee. Chair, with that background, I just read out the motion to be voted on at today's meeting. Firstly, that as required in the Schools Act 1997 and the board bylaws, NLESD Board of Trustees approve the establishment of an executive committee. And number 2, that the executive committee will have the responsibilities and govern its operations as documented in both the Schools Act 1997 and the board bylaws. Number 3, that the executive committee will be established as a committee of the whole containing all 6 sitting members of the Board of Trustees. And lastly, that the board chair and vice chair will act as chair and vice chair of the executive committee. Chair, that's the background and the reading of the motion for today's meeting.
Thank you, Vice Chair Mahoney. Appreciate it very much. At this time, then, we'll request a motion to accept the change. Thank you very much, Trustee Lane. Can I get a seconder? We got 2. Thank you to Trustee Heffernan. Any discussion? Any further discussion on that? We're good. We'll put it to a vote if that's the case. Those in favor? Those against? Abstentions? And thus carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mahoney, for that. Appreciate it. Any further or any other business arising? Okay, hearing none. If that's the case, I'll now turn it over to Mr. Stack for his report.
Thank you, Chair. So I'll be covering the following topics today. And that should now read Superintendent's Report. First, the update on the third year of our strategic plan and the first quarter of that third year. As you know, these are our three focus areas in our strategic plan. It continues to build on the work undertaken in the area of literacy, numeracy, mental health, equity, student supports, technology, enhanced organizational and financial process and accountability, safe and caring schools initiatives, and digital citizenship. Under the student engagement and success pillar, we are moving forward with work with the school development model. A particular passion project for all of us has been our deep learning throughout the district, and I'll have a little bit more on that as we near the end of the presentation. Responsive teaching and learning and supporting diverse communities. The strategic plan focuses on student engagement through the school development model that engages students, parents, and student councils to enhance student engagement and success. The district continues to support our family of schools through a tiered approach to providing guidance to implement this model. The Department of Education and Newfoundland Labrador English School District are collaborating to design, learning, and implementation plan for version 5 of the Responsive Teaching and Learning Policy. This is tentatively set to begin in December, with district staff being the targeted learning audience. The Department of Education and NLESD will continue to plan for learning around version 5 of the policy for all educators in the schools in the new year. We will also, as a programs team, intentionally and purposefully continue to build the foundations for responsive teaching and learning in grades 7 through 12, even though the RTL policy has not reached that level yet. A particular note in the programs area, a file which is very important, is the deaf and hard of hearing programming. 6 new positions have been created to support our students who require American Sign Language to learn. The goal of the position is to bring native signer into the classroom and to develop children's language skills and access to the curriculum. Another teaching learning assistant deaf and hard of hearing position is currently being advertised, which will bring our number up to 7. A new literacy program has been purchased and will be implemented to provide students who are deaf and hard of hearing with a foundation of English literacy skills through activities and strategies that build success at every step. And finally, the DHH classroom at East Point Elementary partnered with the Newfoundland Association for the Deaf's Family Communication Program to promote an annual silent walk. It is a great opportunity for students to meet adults who are deaf who live in their community. I mentioned deep learning, and district staff have participated in 6 dive into deep learning sessions to support schools. The Global Learning Lab is coming up in April, and schools and district staff are currently preparing proposals for insight sessions in support of this learning lab. Here we have Ms. Legg's class at Cowan Heights Elementary, who participated in deep learning exercise at O'Brien's Farm in St. John's on November 4th. This year, our monthly assessment stories around the campfire will also share a deep learning focus. Renee Walsh, Biology 32-1 teacher at Marystown Central High, will share her deep learning journey and the impact it is having on enhancing engagement and creating optimal learning environments for her students. Since May 2022, we've had large increases in newcomers for the district. We have over 500 new students enrolled in the district schools since May 2022 that arrived from out of country. We have now 45 staff directly associated with English as additional language learners and supporting them from across the province. We have students being supported in 96 schools, and that number of schools is growing daily. Our district are also part of a multi-agency team that is exploring provincial-wide welcome centers that have multiple partners representing in that space. It's being led by our district, but the other partners include, and I won't go through the entire list, but Office of Immigration and Multiculturalism, the Association for New Canadians, Newfoundland Labrador Housing, Department of Health and Community Services. We have a professional development model that focuses specifically on EAL learners and their schools. And as the population grows and spreads across all corners of the province, we recognize the need to support these schools. By June 2023, a robust PD model would be shared with schools that allows the school to respond to the diverse needs of students upon arrival. Of note, the district has been recognized through OYM as a national leader in the ability to reduce wait times for newcomers to begin schooling through our immersive program established in Paradise Schools. So what we do is we bring students in right away, even before they're settled in their housing, to attend a school, a centralized located school in which we provide transportation for. And this has been nationally lauded. In addition, in an effort to build capacity and ensure that we're celebrating diversity within the district, we partnered with students, staff, community, provincial and national partners to come together to celebrate and grow understanding and acceptance around Indigenous ways of knowing and being, as well as 2S LGBTQIA+ topics through the formation of our provincial virtual alliances. We also have approximately 470 students and staff who registered for our first virtual GSA from across the province. Our virtual Indigenous Alliance, which rough translation means let's learn together, has become a space for Indigenous students, staff, and allies to gather to learn together. We have 254 members registered with this space. The MOU's focus is on the development of curriculum and resourcing regarding Nunatuakutavut Inuit, their traditional knowledge, history, culture, and experiences, as well as exploring the creation and development of Inuktitut language education in schools within Nunatuakuvut. The MOU agreement lays out objectives and a 30-day deadline to establish a working group to act on them. This was done on September 30th, and our Director of Schools for Labrador Region took part in the MOU signing. Under the Equity, Health, and Well-Being pillar, we have ConnectEd. Now, ConnectEd, as you know, is a program that supports students who cannot attend school. So this fall, the program was extended to offer learning opportunities for K-6 students at Mud Lake School in Labrador who did not have a teacher. The program also supports students with acute medical needs who cannot attend school in person. The program will be offering core French learning opportunities for grades 4 to 9 students who do not have access to a qualified teacher as well. This is an area of expansion. The Center for Distance Learning and Innovation is a program that also supports students through partnering with schools in rural and remote areas who do not have qualified teachers in certain subject areas. And we support students who cannot attend for medical reasons through this. And we also provide program supports for out-of-province, for students who are out of province for athletic reasons, as well as offers free online tutoring services. Additionally, a vast array of technology is used to support teachers and their learning. 2 examples: the district continues to build teacher capacity related to using digital tools. This includes developing synchronous and asynchronous learning opportunities and supports. As well, the district continues to provide system-wide access to quality digital tools that can be used by teachers in all grade levels and subject areas at no cost to schools. The list of software includes Google Workspace, Enterprise, Lumio, Read and Write, and Aquadio. As well, under Equity, Health, and Well-Being pillar, we have the OH&S program. It's available on our website. The OH&S policy statement was updated in August. The district strives to have active OH&S committees at each worksite. To date, 230 of the district's 235 sites, in other words 98%, have had their first quarter meeting for this particular school year. As well, an OH&S survey was developed and sent to all site supervisors to help identify training needs for this school year. Based on the survey results and historical data, we realize that we've got about 500 employees that will require 2-day OH&S committee training, and plans are underway now to address that gap. A first aid survey was developed as well, and we are acting on that to look after training needs. As well, under procurement, the district has restructured the procurement division under operational effectiveness to support staff and increased efficiencies in procurement. A team lead position has been implemented within the division. The role will be the first point of contact for district staff when seeking guidance on issues related to purchasing. MERX, the system, this is an e-procurement system. It is an online portal where we can advertise open calls for tenders, RFPs, etc., and where bidders can submit their responses. This system gives our open calls a greater reach, which increases the potential for more competitive bids. You may be familiar with SmartFind. The district has been expanding the SmartFind Express electronic hiring packages to all classifications, including the call-in of staff through the SmartFind system. We have experienced some technological issues with this, and we work with the vendor to resolve most of the issues, and we're collaborating with groups such as the Newfoundland Labrador Teacher Association, Special Interest Councils, to work through some issues regarding substitute teachers, and that work is continuing. The district purchased a cyber security solution called CrowdStrike to protect against malicious code and ransomware attacks. CrowdStrike is a fully managed security solution for all Windows servers, desktops, and laptops. It delivers comprehensive visibility, detection, and remediation to secure district networks and systems. Firewall solutions have been implemented, and we're also put out information regarding the enforcement of strong passwords across all of our users. We're at 90% completion on that right now. And as well, we have initiated the two-factor authentication, which gives us an extra layer of protection. Also, under organizational effectiveness, a few of the policies that have been tweaked, or the first was the criminal record screening vulnerable sector check, which was approved at the last board meeting by this body. Second, we have updated our surveillance video release form, and we have made some changes to our OH&S policy regulations. Again, I did mention that I would talk more about deep learning. The Deputy Minister of Education and our board chair and a cohort of 11 individuals attended the New Pedagogies for Deep Learning Canadian cluster meetings and school visits in Ottawa in early October. And it was a very rewarding experience. We brought back a lot of information, and at some point in the near future, the district has committed to host other members of the Canadian cohort to come visit our schools here. Deeper learning schools are moving from an overwhelming emphasis on students mostly doing lower level thinking tasks, like factual recall, rote memorization, and procedural regurgitation, to students who are engaging in tasks of greater cognitive complexity. As well, we're part of the national it's a connection, New Pedagogies for Deep Learning Canada Connects project. It allows schools to collaborate across digital platforms and have classroom visits with other classrooms in the Canadian cohort. And we've been doing this in cooperation largely with Ottawa Catholic School District, but we are going to expand this program throughout this academic year. Another thing that we've been doing for a while now and have been expanding it is Collaboration Day. The last one was held on October 25th, and was another one in November, which about 82 staff participating in each, and they are provided once a month, and they're an opportunity for all the program staff to get together and look at a variety of topics. Topics like continuing to build a common language for deep learning, identifying and documenting the sights and sounds of deep learning in our schools, and using the tiered approach to begin developing a plan to build capacity for deeper learning across all schools. And This is a good example, Cowan Heights Elementary, and I'm going to play a video here now. This should work. Oh, not now. Don't do that. There we go. Not sure why I have no sound, but oh well. You'll get the imagery. So this is a compilation of projects that can be done even at the younger grades, and they just did their celebration on Friday. And this is just one example of one school. You see the 6 C's emphasized here. Obviously very proud of their commitment. And we're proud of them. Okay. All right, thank you, Chair. Subject to your questions, that is the superintendent's report.
I'll ask if there's any questions in a second. First of all, I just want to say I found the video very moving. It's my son's school, so it's always very cool when you look down and see your child and you see all the friends and you see the excitement, and it reminds you why you're here and what we're doing here today as a board. And Tony, I'm always very appreciative of your report and of you and educators and teachers, and I just wanted to make a note that it's really exciting to hear how our school population is growing and becoming more diverse, and it's really, really exciting for us as a province, because there was many decades when that wasn't happening, and this is the second year in a row that we've had the increases, so it's really exciting. I'll open it up to the floor if there's anybody else, anything stood out to anybody else, or anybody else wants to make a comment, but I thank you very much. Mr. Stack, Superintendent Stack, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so moving along, number 6 on our agenda right now is committee reports, but we don't have any reports today, so we'll move straight away now to number 7, which is new business. And we have several items under new business. So under the first one, we had site selection for a couple of schools. And I'll turn it over to a couple of the trustees in a second to speak to that. But what I want to just mention is we had, I think, mutually agreed upon in our discussions here. We had an excellent discussion here about site selection for schools. Very eye-opening, and a lot of good work has happened. And that was very, very evident. But I think it was mutually agreed upon that there is still a bit of time yet for our, particularly for our Department of Transportation and Infrastructure and our NLESD infrastructure experts to work together on coming forward with a little bit even more information. I think we're all very excited about it. And I'll turn it over now to Trustee Corey Grandy, who is our Deputy in Transportation and Infrastructure, to speak more to that. But again, I was impressed with the discussion, and I think we're gonna come up with some very good sites for those schools. Always a very important decision.
Thank you, Chair. First off, I just want to say thank you to Terry Hall and the Jim Sinnott and their team. They did a great piece of work, I think, on the identifying potential sites and narrowing them down to some really favorable sites, I think, for both for both schools. As you said, Mr. Chair, I think there's still, coming out of our discussion, a little bit of extra work and a little bit of additional collaboration between school district staff and officials in our department in transportation infrastructure to flush out a few more details before we arrive at at some final decisions. And I think really that sums it up there, and we'll move on. I think we'll have an update soon in the coming weeks or short months, I think, to be able to narrow this down.
Yeah, I just reiterated, it was a great discussion, and I'm going to turn it over now to Mr. Terry Hall from the NLESD anyway, because for 7.2 will be around our bus purchase approval. But just before that, Mr. Holland, was there anything you wanted to add to that? But I found that presentation this morning from you and Mr. Sinnott to be fantastic, and I'm excited to see where it all goes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just make a quick comment. There's nothing really to add. Just that it was a great discussion, some great points raised by the trustees, and we look forward to continuing the discussion and a little more collaboration to get us to the decision point of what sites to approach. So thank you.
Okay, I'm going to turn it right back to you there now, Mr. Hall, to give us a little update on 7.2, which is a bus purchase approval.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is really just an update on some activity. The English School District is part of an Atlantic consortium that every year identifies buses that are required for the next school year in order to continue providing bus service to our students. In between meetings, we had to get our order in order to be part of this consortium and to meet our timelines to be able to receive our buses next summer to be ready for September. The board graciously, we enacted a resolution and writing process, thereby each trustee received a document with the details and the analysis as to the requirement for the buses. And we enacted, as I said, a resolution and writing process where every trustee granted approval through a signature in between meetings, and ultimately we received ministerial approval as is required, and I'm happy to report we were able to get our bus order in on time last week, so we're confident we'll get our buses. So very appreciative of the trustees engaging in that process. Thank you.
I'll just make a further comment on that, just to give people a little glimpse into the process. Sometimes there are agenda items that can't wait until the meeting in order for us to get the best price on buses, to be part of that Atlantic consortium, and as well to get them out here on time. I'm very thankful to all members of the board and the district staff. Everyone came together last week, presentations were had, and a lot of people did a lot of things to make sure that happened. So thank you very much to Mr. Hall and his team. I'm going to send it right back to you, Mr. Hall, for 7.3 property files.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this point, there are no property files to bring forward. We have received some correspondence completing some files, and we're in the midst of preparing others. We're not quite there to bring anything to the table for full approval yet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move forward to number 8 and number 9, which is correspondence sent from the district. So I'm just wondering if there's any members of the board that have any questions regarding agenda items 8 or 9. Correspondence sent to the district. Okay, hearing none, can I ask for a motion to adjourn? Thank you very much. Trustee Lane, can I get a seconder? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for all your participation, for all the effort that's gone into this. Like I said, a lot of work goes on behind the scenes. I was very nervous before these meetings happened, but this one went really fast. And like I said, the 3 hours beforehand, again, I'm very appreciative to everybody who had input into that. So with that, we'll call an end to our meeting, and thank you, and everyone have a great day.